Welcome to bexbugoutsurvivor. Beautiful morning, and I'm going to sort out some kit and answer a couple of questions regarding a sleeping bag system. Now, if you don't know what a system is, it's basically two sleeping bags. They're designed to work in conjunction with each other, and then you can modulate the temperature throughout all the years. A few people said, couldn't I just do the same with some good wearables and an ordinary civilian sleeping bag? Of course you can. If I didn't have the outer bag and only a good 3-season winter bag, what I could layer up with minimalised. Until quite recently, there's been no industry standard to test a sleeping bag's claims. More or less, a manufacturer or representative of a company could tell you whatever they wanted, whatever temperature rating they wanted to tell you, and they didn't have to scientifically prove the fact that sleeping bags can actually do what they say. That is until quite recently, of course, where some companies are voluntarily putting their own kit through an industry standard. And I think Thermarest is one of them companies, both with their mats and sleeping bags, and it's independently tested in a controlled laboratory situation. But if you haven't got that, you need to trust your knowledge, and there's only one way you can glean knowledge, is by repeated testing of your own kit. You need to ask yourself what works, what doesn't work, what I can change, and that's what we're looking at here. Just going to stop off and make a bit of coffee. I'll get this kit out, have a brew, we'll have a chat in depth whether an outer bag is better than wearables inside your main sleeping bag. British Army modular, it's very light, like a jungle bag should be, and about 1 kilo for the smaller jungle bag. Now 3 kilos might sound a lot, especially if you don't know what a system is, you've never had a system, only a sleeping bag. And I can see it in the comments now, well, I've got a sleeping bag, so I don't know why you have a system, and they see their arse about it, when in reality, you know, it's personal preference, it's choice. If you don't like that idea, stick with your sleeping bag. If you want to learn how a system is better for trapping air, which is the warmest bit of a sleeping bag, it's trapped air that's boiled. Oh, it's quick. Just want to simmer that while I put some coffee in. So if I want to trap air, I can do it with either 2 bags, or maybe in this instance, what about the wearables I have used so far, and just 1 bag. Is that acceptable in weight and volume and the R value? Just going to boil up that coffee, keep it at a low simmer. You can get a nice little coffee plunger for these little systems, but I have one on my flash, but I'm just going to make this cowboy style. So I don't need the lid pressed tight, it's going to boil over, and I've got coffee in that. Look at that for a lovely simmer on that regulator. So this is a system, as you can see, consists of an inner bag and an over bag. I'm going to experiment and tell you about my success or failure with these 4 pieces here, or 3 really, and I'll tell you why 3 and not 4. Quilt liners for your parka. I've had these inside a sleeping bag. Probably one of my favourites in its functionality, but not so much in its weight or water absorbency. but they're the kind of things we're going to talk about. Fleece jog pants, and in that a softie suit. So we've got softie suit, Parker quilt liners, fleece jog pants, and that there is my long johns. Just going to turn that coffee completely off now. Just had to use my pack here like a windshield. Right, turn that completely off. Let that cool down. While that coffee's steeping, I've a quick chat about how this experiment's going to work. Whatever it is I choose has to fit into this. This is about the size of a 3-season civilian sleeping bag rather than a professional hiking or mountaineering sleeping bag or military system, which are a lot bigger. But this is my base, what I'm going to compare everything to. When I get back home, I will weigh each element, because weight will come into the equation, and then whether it works at all. Let's sink them grounds. All the items here I've shown you so far all work through my experience, and I'm a cold sleeper. I'm a cold sleeper anyway, but I'm not getting any younger. I have medication that brings my blood pressure right down, which has a cooling effect on your sensitivity to air temperature and so on. Too many factors to whether you're a warm sleeper or a cold sleeper, but I'll let you know where I am. First of all, these base layers. So long johns, sweater, long johns, pants. It's light, it's compact, and it would certainly fit in what I've allocated to be the space it needs to be. However, can't do it. Sleeping bag manufacturers, and all of them have got this stipulation, although it's rarely printed in the literature. Their sleeping bags are rated to the temperature they claim it is only if you're wearing suitable apparel inside your sleeping bag. So fleece jog pants or polyester underlayers or base layers are not considered a replacement for that top bag. So I'll need to add to these, because these are part of the sleeping bag temperature ratings. Of course, a warm sleeper may not need the base layers at all, and that leaves us just two elements. Is it going to be a softie suit which takes up this much room? I probably can compress it to there, much the same size as a jungle sleeping bag, my old jungle sleeping bag, or quilt liners. Use as long johns, you could use inside a system or a sleeping bag. You've seen that is the volume of a softie suit, which is top section, bottom section. Let's see if I can replace that top bag with quilt liners. These are Parker liners, probably dated mid to late 80s. These compact a lot better. And they're noticeably lighter. It could be an option. Of course, we're comparing this now to the outer bag, which again is going to trap air for you. So I need to put the outer bag into this to get a good comparison And this is the outer bag of the military modular system. It will compress, I should imagine, much the same as my other jungle bag. And if you have one of them, you know it's compression. That's surprising. I thought it would compact a little more than that. I'd say at 1 kilo for the outer bag, has good compression for its volume, and is the lightest when you compare it to something like the quilt liners, or indeed the softie suit, which works best for warmth. I've used these before inside a sleeping bag. Like I said, they have an ability to kind of actually climatize you, so you're not too hot, you're not too cold. Now that might be right up your alley if you're a very warm sleeper. I've never woke up cold, but they're not particularly make you feel warm either. On my night camps, a lot of my subscribers will have seen me wearing my wool knit commando style jumper and a norgie inside the sleeping bag. They'll say things like, I have a snug pack sleeping bag and you don't need a wool jumper and things. Well, probably you don't. It's personal choice. But on a wild camp, I do not want to be running out of here bare-arsed. I can tell you that right now. So decision time for me. Parker quilt liners. I can't get enough double usage out of him. I can't wear him as long johns. I can't do very much with him other than in a static situation. So here's my thinking. Base layers on regardless of what system you have, what sleeping bag you have. Then secondary liners or layers for me would be a softie suit. So base layers, then a softie. So my level 7 becomes a level 2. If you are a warm sleeper, look at quilt liners. They might regulate your body temperature to a more comfortable low. If you're a cold sleeper like me, look at the softies, and that will elevate your temperature a little higher. Oh, still nice. So bushcrafters, wild camping, things like that, you're going to be very familiar with the thermal softies. That's good for elevating your body temperature up because it's trapping air. If you want to regulate your body temperature so you're comfortable throughout the night, quilt liners. So for me, below zero is going to be my 2-part sleeping bag, or system as it is. I'm going to conjoin that with softies. There might not be a requirement to do so, but like I said, I'm a cold sleeper. If I want to put softies in with a system like that, I will. Again, base layers as pyjamas. Don't forget, you'll always need base layers. A lot of people can sleep just in the skin, you know, stripped down to the boxers. In the past I've done it, but I think the older you get, the less you do that. Your body doesn't always react the same as it did 20, 25, 30 years ago. So we talked about the quilt liners, the pros and cons. We've spoke about how I'm going to use thermal softies, which are going to be great again at lower temperatures, and I'm thinking in my mind that life below zero doesn't often get below zero here on the coast. It's just that I'm a cold sleeper. Always in the past I've worn wool as my regulator, and that's worked for me in the past. So by now you should be aware that these sleeping bag companies, or at least a couple of them that I'm aware of, are independently testing the ratings of the bags rather than giving yourself a rating. To me, that's like giving yourself an award for being great. You know, it doesn't count. You always need these things verifying independently. Just having the outer bag is the lightest. If you incorporate things like the softie suit, and you can see that has a bulk of one sleeping bag, that is going to elevate the volume and weight in your pack. It's been bitten. So although it's not winter at the time of recording, I'm prepping well in advance because I need to know these things. And I'm still quite a lover of the fleece jog suit, and that conjoined with my level 1 inner sleeping bag works for me too, because it is warmer with softies and your main bag. You can remove the outer bag, but then again we saw in volume and weight the difference there. Even when I try and look at reviews on YouTube of other sleeping bags I might be thinking of getting, I don't always trust what the person's telling me. I don't know if they're a cold sleeper or a warm sleeper. I've hardly ever heard anyone tell you that their kit is crap and doesn't work. But as where if I get a bit of kit bought from my own money and I think it's garbage, I'll tell you, just so you don't make the same mistake and go out and buy something that isn't really that great.